we had one at Awolowo and there was another one at Lut. And at that point in time, you have to take a challenge exam because all those who wanted to write, there was a common entrance exam for all those who are interested in becoming nurses. You know, they called the exam TEDRU. We went to WAEC office and then you have to write. And they emphasize that you must be accurate in answering the questions, and then you have to be very fast. So speed and accuracy was just the order of the day. So you can imagine, you know, coming from Akure to come and start competing with people who are there in Lagos and from all the different parts of Nigeria. Anybody that wanted, you have to go there. So at the end, I now had to face a challenge exam, an interview at the School of Nursing. And all our lecturers at that stage, they were all from, most of them came from the UK. They had trained in the UK. I can't remember anyone that was not trained in the UK. They all came from the UK to be teaching us. Our principal was Mrs. Von Richards. And, you know, she was married to a white man, and she was a very big role model for us. She will tell you how you should walk, how you should comport yourself as a nurse. So that was a very good foundation. So one of the things that you need on your journey are role models. She was quite a good role model. We had even Mrs. Atigi also was a good role model. She taught us foundations of nursing and showed us all those practical things that we needed to know to develop our skills. And they were very, very firm. If you didn't do well, you will have to repeat, you know. You have to repeat. And we were all very serious. We had a beautiful hostel where we stayed and we ate, we were placed on salary, so we had stipends every month, and then we were also fed freely. So we really had enough time to devote to our studies, and it was quite a good time. So then that's for the exploring stage. When I went for the interview, because I had the grade 1 in my school set, there was a very big debate about whether they should take me or not, because they felt that at that time, probably I've gone to some other, I had admission from some other places. So the principal had to call me aside and ask, do you have admission somewhere? I said, no. He said, why? I said, well, I didn't even explore any other, I've not explored any other place. So they now said, well, since I was from Lagos State, I must be given that opportunity. If I don't want to come, then it's left to me. So that's how I got it. So I got in, I did well at the interview, and then I had the requisite. So please, if you are planning to go into any career opportunity, you must make sure you find out what it entails, you find out what will be required, and you begin to work towards it. So it was a good thing that at that time you didn't need physics to enter into nursing, because I didn't do physics. But if if I had found out, so that's one of the lessons that I learned. If you want to go into any field, you must find out what it will take and begin to work towards it. Your family too should begin to work towards it. So the establishment stage is when you have learned the ropes, you get challenging jobs, you are increasing your competence, you have become innovative. So this period is from the mid-20s through the mid-40s. So I became established in nursing, and then while I was doing midwifery, I applied for the Bachelor of Nursing. Bachelor of Science in Nursing. That's what it was called at that time. And I got the admission while I was doing midwifery. So I had a choice to make, whether to stay on and complete the midwifery or just zoom off to the university. But I just looked at, okay, I would like to get married. I need to have knowledge of midwifery as well. So, and I was midway. So I tried to find out whether I could defer my admission. I understood it was allowed. So I deferred the admission. And as soon as I finished, I just went to the university and do the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So I was now at this stage of getting established. And in those days, when you come out, you get a job. When I came out, I got a job. I did not get a teaching job because although I specialize in nursing education, but I got a job to work on the ward. And I determined that wherever I am placed, I will make a difference. At least what I learned in school, I will implement them. And I will encourage you also to do the same. Wherever you find yourself, if you have new knowledge that you have gained, you should put it into place. And the nurses generally, they were not they made a lot of fun about those who went to the university because there was no opportunity for you to teach or, to showcase the Bachelor of Nursing, the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. In fact, I was posted to the surgical outpatient and they will say, oh, so you are back to use your BSc to do, to dress wounds. But while I was there, I always made sure that we boiled all our instruments. At that time, we didn't have autoclave and so on, but I will insist that at least we learned about the germ theory of disease and that we must make sure that we boil. So everybody, they will just wait, I will have to boil. And so I just continued like that. Then when I worked in the pediatric ward, I also said, instead of doing tax assignment, that let us try team nursing. So the head of the nursing service was very happy and said we should try team nursing. So we started practicing team nursing. So whatever you have done, you should bring innovation. Although, the salary was not different, there was really nothing different until later on, when opportunities started coming for those who are graduate nurses. So, so you move from that stage of being established, and then you move to the next stage, which is maintenance stage. But I must say that when I finished after working for like 1 or 2 years, I just felt I should go back to school again. So I went to study the Masters of Public Health because there was no Masters of Nursing at that time. So I did the Masters of Public Health, and later on, that's what now put me in a position to be able to do the PhD in nursing when the opportunity came. And that is what now eventually allowed me to be able to pick up the job as a lecturer, which is lecturer 2. So I had become, that way I was becoming established, and then I'd moved to this maintenance stage, that's just maintaining your interest, So you get involved in updating yourself, you develop coaching skills, all of this you do through continuing education programs. You attend conferences, you attend workshops, you keep building up yourself, so that you can keep moving up the ladder. So I would say this is where I am now, this maintenance stage. So when I finished the masters, the masters in public health, I was with my family in Ibadan. Then we now transited. We moved to Calabar. So when I got to Calabar, my friends actually started saying, "What are you doing? Why are you not doing PhD? What is happening?" well, I was just concentrating on bringing up my my small children, and so while we discussed at family level, and I now had the opportunity to come back to Ibadan to do the PhD. And what is challenging, actually one big lesson I learned was that the time between when I had the MPH and had the PhD was too long a period. In fact, I worked as lecturer too for almost 6 years. You know, I worked for almost 6 years before I went to do the PhD. Please, that's a very important lesson that I would like to pass across. If you know you are going into the academia, please don't waste that long time. Don't wait for that long time to to go and take what do what it takes. You know, PhD is the de facto of the academia. If you don't have it, you are just like a non-starter in the academia. So once you come in, if you are interested in academics, once you come in, you must make sure that you go ahead and get your PhD, and then you start the publications, because that is also very, very challenging, and you have to be very resilient to be able to sail through. I can remember when I was lecturer too, somebody had asked me, it's a colleague, she asked me, are you going to continue in this lecturer job? Will you be able to write papers and become a professor? So my response to her was that, why not? If others are able to write papers, why will I not be able to write papers like them? That, you know, writing paper is an art. Once you learn it, you can continue. But if you don't learn it, you cannot continue. So this is the last stage where, you know, you now retire. But these days, the good news is that with the technologies that we have, okay, so they are requesting for remote control of my screen. I don't know what that means. Hello? INR. Should I approve it?
No, you didn't approve it, ma. We just want to call your attention that we have few minutes more for this session.
Very good.
To come to an end. Yeah, okay. So I thank you.
So, very good. So I'm going to quickly just go through. I think I've really shared a lot, and I will just then go through what I think you need, the lessons. I know I was talking about the lessons all along, but I will just I will just mention that there's a career decision-making cycle which you really need to pay attention to. You need to discover yourself. You need to explore the options you have. You make a decision, you take action, then you evaluate that decision. And from the story that I've told, you know, I hope I've been able to show you how I explored the options I had, and then took a decision and then continued with it. So I will now just talk about the lessons learned. It's important to prepare, it's important to plan, and you must always be proactive so that you can get to the top. Then self-directed learning is very important. Even if you are exposed to any learning experience, you should still have your individual learning plan. That was very, very useful for me, because that's what helped me with my publications. So then you also need, we've talked about mentors, you certainly need mentors. And then you also need to collaborate with other members of the health team. In doing my publications, I work with nurses, I work with people in public health, I work with people in medical doctors. I work with people different area in sociology and all of that. In fact, when it came to supervision, because supervision of maybe masters and PhDs, a requirement for being a professor, I had to supervise people in public health, in sociology, even outside my field, to be able to meet up. So collaboration is very important in that journey. Then participation actively in international and regional conferences and is also very, very important. In fact, some of the papers I wrote, the multi-center studies, maybe involving 10 countries, it was at these international conferences that I met some of the scholars and we decided to work together. So it's very important. You should also learn to join. ICN has a lot of network they have that you can join and you can learn a lot from it. They have the education network, they have community network, they have different, then Sigma Theta Tau is also very useful because there I was able to collaborate with a lot of scholars to be able to write papers. That's where you are going to arrive very, very early at your destination. Then you must learn to pursue excellence in whatever field you find yourself and be committed to your dream. You must also learn what it takes to be resilient and to persevere, because the whole story looks nice, but there were a lot of hurdles along the way, and it will take resilience to be able to overcome those hurdles. Then self-efficacy, you must believe in yourself. You must believe in yourself, you must believe that you can do it. And you look at your past experiences, you look at the support system you have, all of that will determine how you can believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you'll definitely be able to take the bold step. So I'll just go to final thoughts now. So distinguished colleagues, young nurses, respected nursing students, I've shared thoughts on some of the key topics that are related to the address, like career mentor, nurse mentor, mentee, professional development, career development, transition process. The nursing journey involves undertaking situational transition, which has important properties and phases. For some, the experience may be single, for some, it is multiple. I have reflected on my nursing journey using the stages of career development, pointing out some of the challenges and the opportunities I encountered along the way for you to be able to transit positively. Then you need certain you need certain attributes. We have mentioned some of them. You must have love for excellence. You must be resilient. You must be self-directed in your learning. You must believe in yourself. So finally, I would like to quote Mahatma Gandhi, what she said. She said, if I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capacity to do it, even if I may not have it at the beginning. Have faith in yourself to achieve success. You can do it. The references are there. So I really want to thank you as I conclude by saying that high self-efficacy, that's high belief in yourself, will bring in positive professional development. So I wish you a very successful career as you navigate the different paths and the different opportunities that are available in the nursing profession. Thank you. ICT, I've come to the end, so.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying through. It's such a privilege to have Professor Hidet. She just finished speaking to us about our journey in nursing, and I am sure we learned a lot, and we can actually connect it to our own nursing, our own journey in nursing. I want to appreciate her for stressing the importance of mentorship and collaboration, and she also emphasized that we need to be proactive, we need to prepare, we need to learn, and we need to be self-directed in our own learning phase. It's such a privilege to have her. I learned a lot, and I believe the participants learned a lot too. I would like to interact with
I no longer hear her.
us, but so hello everyone, can you hear me please?
Yes, Priscilla, we seem to lost you in a few seconds, but we have you back now.
That place, our network is fluctuating.
Yes, ma'am.
It is my pleasure.
Did you hear the part? All right, our next speaker on board, no speaker Alabi, can you please come over now? No speaker Alabi, okay, while we wait for you, let me recap what Professor Edith said. She talked about the importance of vision in our own work in this nursing profession. She talked about the importance of not following the crowd. We need to have our own set down goals, and we need not to follow the influence of others. We need not to follow the crowd. We have to have our own set down goals and how we intend to drive our nursing journey. She talked about the importance of being proactive. You have to make decisions at the go. You have to decide what. So I want to know if we have Alabi.
Yeah, good evening. Alabi here.
Okay, nice to have you, sir. Kindly come on board, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
You can drop your questions in the after this section. After this section, we will take all questions together. Only drop your questions in the chat box. We will attend to all of them after this section. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. I was actually waiting for a kind of timing or the moderator telling us that it's time to commence. Thank you very much for having me on this platform. And I do appreciate the organizers, the Department of Nursing, and the keynote speaker in person of Professor Olaide Headed. By way of introduction, my name is Odmai Okolaole Omolade, and I'm an alumni of Ladoke, alumnus rather of Ladoke. I finished from Ladoke in 2009. So it's a massive privilege for me to be here. I know you guys are working very hard to make these things and to make this webinar a reality. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for giving me the privilege to share my thoughts on this important platform. I consider this time and this sharing a very important one, because every one of us must pass through the stage of being a bedside nurse before any other thing. In fact, that's our primary qualification before we go on into any other thing. So I want to try as much as possible to make sure that this presentation is engaging and everyone can have something to learn and we can all share together. And for us to be able to do that, I think you would do well to freely comment immediately we start, because I would like maybe one of the moderators or anyone who can go on to read the comments for us and all of that to be on ground to share from the comment sections what people are writing, because that would be important to inform and knowledge as well. And if you cannot hear, please, you can just go on to type to say, oh, can you speak louder? I cannot hear. Or if you're missing out on any of the point, you can quickly call our attention to it by writing on the comment section. Thank you very much. Like I mentioned, my name is Odmai Okolaole Omolade again, and I'm a postgraduate researcher doing my PhD in acute and critical care. I have a master's degree as well. My degree in nursing is from Ladoke. I'm a registered nurse and anesthetist from University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu. And I did that after I qualified as a nurse and after I finished my degree in Ladoke. There's a long story behind that anyway. Now, let's go on into what we are doing today. Now, the topic that I'll be speaking on is the nurse clinician realizing the opportunities at the bedside. The nurse clinician realizing the opportunities at the bedside. And quickly, I think the first point that we should look at is that who is a nurse clinician? Who is a nurse clinician? That's me there. That's my picture you're looking at there. And that's me setting up for laparoscopic cholecystectomy in one of the hospitals in the United Kingdom here. And I answered, I said, I'm a nurse clinician. What is in need for me? And I want to tell you that your clinical skills are your assets. Your clinical skills are your assets. And it is those clinical skills that actually make you a nurse. Forget any other thing. Forget any other thing. Without your clinical skills, you are not a nurse. If they say a nurse is here, they're expecting you to do some things. They're expecting you to display those clinical skills. If you lack them, then you're not a nurse, because that's the responsibility, that's the society expectation that you're able to intervene, you're able to give the best intervention when it is required or when it is necessary. Now, Prof was speaking the other time and she mentioned something about a transplant nurse. On Sunday, I was actually doing a kidney transplant in the United Kingdom in one of our hospitals there. That's one of the things I usually do. I do urology and transplant as well here in our hospital. So that's the window of opportunities that open for you when you are a nurse. So let's go into what are the aims and the content of my presentation with you. What are the aims and the content? Now, the purpose of this presentation is that we'll be able to understand various opportunities that are available for us as nurses. And at the same time, we need to know, we need to ask the question, where lies the opportunity? If we're talking about opportunities available for nurses, the question is, where are they? If I can't see them, if I don't know where they are, how then are you talking about opportunities? And seeing them or knowing where they are not enough. These are opportunities that are sometimes intangible, and it's only by possessing the necessary skills that we're able to acquire them. So we should also talk about and find out what skills do we require as individual nurses or as a group to be able to take maximum advantage that are available for us as a nurse working at the bedside. It will also be part of my duty to do some justice or justifications to questions that we may have. And if I'm not able to answer your questions well, we might have some other people who may be able to do that to answer your questions. So the thing that we'll be doing for me is that I want you to look at the screen and or the screen of your phone or laptop, whatever devices you go, and see those questions I'm asking. I said that in one word or phrase, what does opportunity mean to you? Please type in your answer. In one word or one phrase, what does opportunity at the bedside mean to you? Please, I'm expecting you to answer, and I expect the handler to be reading the answers to us, please. And the questions are there. If you can see the questions, please just keep typing in the answers. The next one says, where do you find the opportunity? And do you feel confident about your skills? Do you feel confident of yourselves that you have the necessary skills and requirement to take the advantage of the opportunities when you see them? Guys, ladies, gentlemen, students, registered nurses, please, let's respond. So what does opportunity mean to you? Because if you don't know what it means to you, then you can take advantage of them. Then another thing we need to look at is that, where do you think these opportunities are? And do you think you have the skills? Let's look at them. So anybody there reading the answers to us, please?
Okay.
Any of the moderator online?
Yeah, I'm here, sir. So from here we
okay, please, are people typing their answers? Do we have any answer to those questions?
Yes, they are. Yes. Some people say opportunity means success. Some say it means prospect. Some say it means challenge. And some even say it's a platform to make impact.
Okay. All right. Whatever answer you... I'm listening.
Okay, some will say that opportunity means a way of showing their skill. Some say opportunity, ability to portray their innate potential. Some say, okay, it's the ability to progress. And some even say it's a favorable circumstance at their disposal. So those are one of the few out of the options.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Those are brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. That's interesting. Now, let's quickly go into something. Look at this picture. Everybody, please, if you can go on your slide, look at this picture. I keep saying I'm a nurse. What is in need for me? I think that is the question that all of us must ask ourselves. I'm a registered nurse. I have bachelor degrees or whatever degree I've had. I'm a nurse specialist. What is in need for me? Now, you see, when I first got this email that I'll be talking to us, or I'll be talking to the students and everyone here, I went online to Google, what does opportunity for nurses mean? Because in developed country, when they advertise job opportunities. And I've had that conversation with managers and some people in the past. The first thing you see when you type opportunities is financial reward. And you see now, all of us have mentioned so many other things, but we've not mentioned about money. Now, but I just want us to know that without having the required clinical competencies, you can't be paid. You can't be paid when you don't know what you are doing. You can be paid when you are not offering unique service that is rare or unique service that is peculiar to the needs of the people. After I finished my degree in Ladoke, I went on to read anesthesia because I've been thinking about it, that what is it that I can do as a nurse that is special and that will satisfy my interest as well, and that would be something that people will seek after. I've seen a lot of people in the world. They are doing wonderfully well. They are doing good job. A lot of people at the community level, at the primary healthcare centers, doing amazing and very good jobs. But there was one day I was working in a private hospital in Osogbo, and a nurse came. He's a very popular guy around there, and he came and he worked with us for, well, less than an hour. And the payment for that cesarean section was around 120,000. And he told the doctor, he said, today, I am taking 40,000 out of this money. And this is a nurse. And I called the guy afterwards. I said, sir, what specialty is this? And the gentleman told me it's anesthesia. And he said he read it in Enugu. That was the end of the story. I went on because every operation we did in that hospital when I was there, that gentleman had to be there, and he will say the exact amount of money he wants to collect. You will say money is not everything. I agree with you, but money is something. To all honesty, there is no how you can talk about professional success. There is no how you can talk about opportunity without talking about financial reward. Can I ask you a question? Why do people go on strike? Why do people go on strike? They go on strike because of money. So it's very important for you to know that one of the opportunities that is available at the bedside is the financial reward. Here in the United Kingdom, there are shifts that you can do that can pay you equivalent of 40,000 naira per hour as a bedside nurse. It all depends on how clinically competent you are. Now, you also talk about professional reputation. Honestly, a lot of ground historically that nurses and nursing profession have gained internationally is because of something special that nurses do, something with your patient. When somebody important or somebody who can influence policy came to the hospital and see the kind of jobs that nurses are doing, they went on to say, look, these people need more than we are giving unto them. And there are 6 areas we can do that. There is something we call the 6 core values, the 6 core values of nurses. You talk about communication, you talk about competencies, you talk about caring, you talk about caring, and a lot of other. I've forgotten the rest now. Now, those are the things that are expected of us to do. If you think that, I can't carry bedpan, I can't do that, well, perhaps you're not humble enough. Perhaps you're not caring enough. Perhaps you're not competent enough. So those are the things that we need. If you think that you're caring enough, you're competent enough, well, it doesn't mean anything to do such things, but it actually means a lot to those people you are doing it for. Working at the bedside provides us opportunity to build a very strong professional integrity and reputation. Of course, number 3, we know that a lot of schools of nursing and the nurses, the early nurses we had in the developing countries, they were missionaries. That's why did they use the religious opportunity? Why did they use the religious opportunity to their own advantage? Because they are nurses. So you will know that having clinical skills, working with patients at the bedside, they go on to preach about their faith to other people. It also provides opportunity for social interaction. It also provides opportunity for social interaction. As you are talking with your patient, you get to know them the more. You may even meet a celebrity who has just come to the OPD. You may be the nurse who is there when president comes, like it happened in this country when the prime minister had coronavirus over here, He went to the hospital. Definitely, there are nurses who will attend to him. And after he was discharged, he went on national TV and was saying some kind words about the good work that the nurses are doing. Those are opportunities for nurses at the bedside. There is also a massive opportunity for international migration. I don't need to mention that. I don't need to mention that because everybody is aware of that. You can move here and there. Of course, some people will land in one country and they'll see here that, oh, something is happening somewhere. They have traveled again. Nurses migrate a lot. Why are they migrating? It's because of the skills they've got, the high demand for the skills. And also, you can talk about the research opportunity. While I was working in Nigeria as a nurse anesthetist in Southwest Nigeria, I was usually and constantly called to come and intervene in primary postpartum hemorrhage. And that is what is, and exactly that's what led me into my present research in the evidence-based treatment of primary postpartum hemorrhage by nurses and midwives in Southwest in Nigeria. That's what I'm doing now. And thank you very much for my pilot study you all responded to from Ladoke the other time while I was doing it. So when you are a nurse and you're very competent, working at the bedside, it makes you opportunity to see things that others read in textbooks. Why people in the classroom read the theories and all of that. When you're there providing the care yourself, you can tell people and say, look, this is what is happening. And you can even collaborate. If you don't have that time to do a single research of your own, you can collaborate. I'll be telling you that just yesterday, I was doing a particular list in anesthesia that we call pain list. And because I'm doing PhD as well, now they began to talk about the data they are collecting, and I saw some fundamental errors in what they were doing. And I talked to the guys, I said, look, this thing you're doing is good, but it's not real. It's not actual. These are the weaknesses of your study. And immediately I was introduced to to the head of the department to say, oh, you need to sit down with the guy and have discussion because we don't even have any idea in this thing that we are doing. So those are the opportunities. It is by working at the bedside that you see the first hand of what is happening with patient, and if you love, you can actually translate that into research. So the world of opportunity is unlimited to a nurse who is practicing at the bedside. I've only listed 5. You can think of so many others that you may include. But quickly, I will proceed to the next slide and look at what it says. This is what the next slide says. It said, when life throws a mud at you, can you make a brick of it? When life throws a mud at you, can you make a brick of it? Now, this is the question. Is it always rosy at the bedside? The answer is definitely no. And what came to my mind when I was preparing this slide is what I call the Florence Nightingale concept of opportunity. The Florence Nightingale concept. I've not read it in any textbook. I've not seen it anywhere. But that is my own contribution. What is the Florence Nightingale concept of opportunity? I'll come to it later. And I put a cross sign there. I said, examples of mods. Examples of mods. You may be in a place where you are not appreciated. Instead, you are being bullied. There is harassment, there is discrimination, maybe because of your color. You know, nursing is known as female profession or something. They say, oh, you're a man and now you're a nurse. So there is discrimination against you as a gentleman. Now, you can be in a low-performing organization where there are limited opportunities or where there is no opportunity at all, where people go on strike and all of that, as it's common in most low-income countries, like our own dear country. So you can also be in an organization that is not well-led. You can be in an organization that is not well-led, where there is no actual or genuine accountability and the line of authority is not clearly demarcated. Oh, you can also be in a place where there is a glass ceiling phenomenon. What do I mean by that? That's where there are few nurses. For instance, if you're a nurse anesthetist, well, you are very few, and you have to be, you will constantly come across that challenge of glass ceiling, of you can't do this, you can't do that, this is what you can do, this by other people who are not within your profession. and sometimes your effort may go unrecognized or even unappreciated. Lastly, what about if you're deployed to be at the war front? And that is where I came across the Florence Nightingale concept. Florence Nightingale was at the war front where there were no electricity, where the healthcare system was facing bombardment by air raids. Now, and what did she do? Isn't that what began what we call the celebrity of nursing today, what we're celebrating? That is what Florence Nightingale will consider as an opportunity. So it all depends. I'm not saying that all of us are Nightingale. All of us will have opportunity to be able to do something like that. But I'm also saying all of us will not come to a place where everything will be all right, we'll just be fine, and we say, okay, let's just go on. No, that's not the scenario. You can be in any of this place. And I just want you to know that that is also part of the opportunity. Opportunity for you to make a positive change, to make a positive contribution. I'll tell you that a lot of people who travel abroad, who work overseas, they face a lot of challenges, including mental health challenges. Because when you work there, because of the cultural disparity, you may a lot of time find yourself isolated or discriminated against. Oh, well, have I experienced such? It depends on how you see it. It provided me opportunities to spend a lot of time in the library, spend a lot of time in our computer room, reading all journals that, because when people are busy talking to each other, I've got nobody to talk to. I'm only busy with my computer. So, and that provides me the opportunity to quickly respond to the demands of my PhD studies. Instead of sitting down and talking around by the patient bedside, or when we have less to do around, well, I just go on into my studies. It became an opportunity for me. I am not saying that everybody can do that. I'm not saying that these are the things that anyone can do, but I'm saying that some people can actually find themselves in this situation. Let's engage the Florence Nightingale concept, who actually responded positively in war front by looking out after people even when it was not comfortable. Let's go on to look at where do we find opportunities. There are so many answers we can find to that. We can find it in public and private hospitals. There are employers who will come advertising so many things to you. For instance, in developed countries, they will even tell you that if you're going for shopping, they will give you something they call shopping ticket. In other words, they just give you some amount of money in form of a ticket that when you go to the supermarket, you just cash, you just take any of the goods that is within that range and is paid for. So that's the shopping ticket. You can find it in private hospitals as well. It could take any form. It might be opportunity for you to take some roles within that establishment. Within that opportunities, they might be looking for people who have some special skills and competencies to be able to perform some roles. That's one. Now, you can find it in non-governmental organizations, which may be local, which may be national, which may be international, such as the World Health, UNICEF, or the local one. Like one of our friends and colleagues had a private NGO even while we were students. It was because she was a nurse. She had the skills and the knowledge to be able to influence things. That's why she went into it. Now, you can find it in private practice. Can I shock you that even while I was in Nigeria, well, as an anesthetist, I was doing my private practice. And there was one senior nurse anesthetist in my hospital who could literally pay, I'm telling you very true, who could literally pay. He was a gentleman, he should be in his late 30s. That was about 6-7 years ago, who could literally pay other people. There was nothing other than the clinical skills that he had. He is into so many private practices with different private hospitals and including oil companies who get him over the weekend to come and do some things in anesthesia before he comes back. That is where opportunity comes from. You cannot lay back and think that opportunity will come. I don't think so. There is nothing like that. There is nothing like gone are those days. There is nothing like that. So you can also find it in industries. You can find it in industries or company. There are pharmaceutical companies who are recruiting nurses. It's just a matter of searching online and looking for all those companies and just requesting or finding out for vacancies with them. There are specialized fields like the military. I met a woman here who is from Nigerian Port Authority who came to do her PhD. She was working as a bedside nurse in the Nigerian Port Authority, but because she's really clever and brilliant, so she got promoted very rapidly, and she came over here to do AP, and I think she would have finished by now. So there are pharmaceutical companies, like I mentioned. There are medical engineering companies who are looking for nurses. There are medical engineering companies. They make equipment and they want nurses who will go out to teach other nurses or to teach even doctors. I've seen some who will come and teach doctors how to use those equipment. So, and by the time we start interacting and you ask, oh, what did you read? They will say, we are nurses. We just did some training, we got the job, they train us the more, and that's why we got. So there's so many opportunities. Technology has made it so much open that we can actually access the opportunities in the very corner of our bed. It could be local, like I mentioned, it could be abroad. Can I also mention that there could be opportunity for nurses to become a political force from the bedside? Consider the number of nurses working at the bedside. We can make political influence considering our numbers if we come together to make things happen for ourselves. I'm gradually approaching the end of this presentation. Now, what are the essential skills for realizing our goals as nurses? This is what I call RCN concept. I'm a member of the Royal College of Nursing, and they give career talks. So I went on their online, I went to their website, and I got this information. So there are essential skills. Instead of us to be laid back or to play the blame games, as they say, to play the blame games and blame other people, blame our family, blame nursing profession. Some people will even blame Nightingale. Now, we can take action. We can take action and do something. Now, and what do we have to do? Number one, I said, we need to know what we want. We need to make it. We need to have a vision, like Prof told us, and we need to take a step. We need to have a vision and we need to take a step. Now, also, we should go out of our comfort zones to approach strangers. Some people, they'll say, oh, I don't know him enough and all of that. I wrote one of the pioneer professors in evidence-based nursing in the United States, because it has to do with my research. And my first line of introduction is, hello, Professor so-so-so, we have never met. I got my response in 2 hours, not because I'm writing from the United Kingdom. It's because it was a need. I never knew her. I just read her publication, and it's related to my work, and I needed her help, and I wrote her, and she responded. So sometimes we need to make such steps. Instead of just chatting away our time and all of that, that's part of what we need to do. We can approach strangers. And the era of internet and online communication has made this possible if we take advantage of it. Let's search for opportunities ourselves. Let's search for opportunities ourselves. After we decide it, search for it. Now, let's get useful information and skills. Let's get useful information and skills. It's important for us to be clinically competent, to be competent in our area of practice, and to also have essential or extra curricular competencies. What do I mean by that? There are some of us who are gifted in one thing or the other that is not directly related to bedside care. There are ways we can actually harness that will propel our personal image, and at the same time, bring forward the image of nursing profession. And from there, the world of opportunities will begin to open up to us. We also must prepare to try again if we fail. You cannot be sure that if you try once, you will get it. You must be ready to shoot as many times as possible for you to achieve your much desired goal. This is the last slide I've got. And I said, attitude is everything in becoming a well-informed nurse. You have to have that positive attitude towards it. If you don't have the positive attitude, it might be very, very difficult. There are a lot of people you meet around who will talk, who will maybe write some articles and all of that, and you read them, you say, oh, this lady or this gentleman can be a professor. She's a very brilliant writer. Well, that may never happen except he or she develops a positive attitude towards it. When we search the internet for when we search the internet for information, let's also network. Networking means let's connect with other people. Let's connect with other people. I don't think there is any way we can take advantage of opportunity without networking. And networking actually means working with other people to the extent that it will be so complex like a net. And when it becomes a net, it's very difficult to break, and we benefit from it. Now, let's read useful journals and publications. They help a lot. When you read useful journals and publications, they help a lot. They tell you about job vacancies being advertised or opportunities somewhere. Now, we can also build a very unique and good professional network like the Institute of Nursing Research Nigeria, like they are doing. Fantastic people, fantastic job, doing great and wonderful things. So those are the kind of things we're saying. Those are the kind of things we talk about. Let's build that relationship. Let's build that good professional working relationship with ourselves and with the patient as well. You can go and speak to your employer, your superior, your mentors, your friend about opportunities you feel that should be assessed. Now, at the same time, you must be conversant path that are available. Where now, I remember some years ago talking with some people, and we're just discussing about patient care, and somebody said, oh, Ayo, you can be an associate physician. An associate physician means somebody who is trained to do some level of medical care, in fact, to the extent of doing some surgery as well. But you're not a doctor. Then I told the person, I said, well, I know what is good for me. I don't think that is good for me because you are limited, you are bound. The name has said it all. Associate, you are not it. You are not it. So we must be familiar with the career pattern. I'm not saying that is bad. Get me right. I'm not saying that is bad, but you must know what you want. Some people may love to become matron. Please go for it. If you love to become a chief nursing officer, please go for it. But just know that you're doing it for a reason, for the love of it, and for making positive impact. Now, make phone calls if need be, send emails if need be, chat with people if need be, just to make sure you access the opportunity. Can I tell you something? You can see from my presentation that I'm very enthusiastic and excited with the little progress I've made in life. You must develop that enthusiasm. You must love it. You must love what you're doing. If you don't love it, if you don't love nursing profession, if you don't love nursing with working with your patient at the bedside, you will never see the opportunity. People that stay at the bedside are people who love offering the clinical skills. Now, and that is very important. We have to be enthusiastic about it. We have to love the job. We have to keep doing it and doing it excellently well. Thank you very much. And now you can ask your question. I do appreciate your time and thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so very much, sir. That was a very good point. We are so enlightened again to how such powerful. We are so grateful, sir. However, the channels are open now for questions. However, we'll just take a few questions because of time. I will must have it in the back of our minds that at the end of this summit, there will be a compilation of the entirety of the summit that we made available to provide questions, to provide answers to whatever question asked. So I'm waiting for whoever actually has a question that we can ask even before you leave. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, sir, we have something here.
Yes, go on, please.
The person said, thanks, sir, for the enlightenment. My question goes thus. Were you able to use your post-basic qualification outside Nigeria?
What? Oh,
were you able to use your post-basic qualification outside Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Well, outside Nigeria, it all depends on where you find yourself. If you find yourself in the UK, the job advertised is what determines where you are placed. For instance, if the job advertised is for registered nurses only, whatever qualification you have is irrelevant. Can I shock you as well? Even having degree is irrelevant. When you come to a country like the United Kingdom, having degree will not add a dime to your payment. So is that, are you a registered nurse? You're a registered nurse. But if you go to the United States, I have a colleague there who is working there as an anesthetist. If you go to the Republic of Ireland, well, your qualifications are very much relevant, including your years of experience. So that answers the question. It depends on the country where you are and which job is advertised.
Thank you very much. We have another question. Yeah.
Go on, please.
Mr. Fatima Bukara is asking, please, what do you recommend for someone who is having trouble deciding what specialty to go into? What would you recommend for someone who is having trouble deciding what specialty to go into?
I would believe that lack of clarity can be a combination of many factors. It could be that the person does not have sufficient information, may not have sufficient information about what he or she wants. And or the person has got too much information, insufficient information or too much information. So, and it could be a personality issue as well. So I think it is a multidimensional issue that will demand a kind of multiple input to be able to solve.
Thank you very much. Another of the questions that we have is also, what are limits in clinical practice outside Nigeria? What are the limits in clinical practice outside Nigeria?
Well, limit to clinical practice is a function of your training and clinical competencies. Can I tell you that if you're a qualified nurse, in from anywhere you are qualified from, even if you're schooled in the United Kingdom or you're schooled in the United States, it doesn't matter. Now, whatever your qualification, if you go to the hospital where you are expected to work, the minimum number of training you will be required to complete before you can do anything is 18. So you will be retrained because you are still believe that you don't know what you're doing, except you prove it and somebody certifies you. Internal certification, that's when you can begin to work. So you can speak to the people who have traveled and ask them if they are retrained or not. So there are internal training. It's not long-term training. There are internal competencies training which you have to be signed off before you can keep practicing. So your training determines what you can do and what you cannot do. So that's what it is.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Falabi Malala Delapo is asking that, Mrs. I notice men have a hedge in exploring opportunities as a bedside nurse than women do. What are the limitations to this and what is the way forward? I notice men have an edge in exploring opportunities as a bedside nurse than women do. But what are the limitations to this and what is the way forward?
Well, that lady must be a critical thinker, because I can't see that, but I'm not saying that she's not right. I'm not saying that she's not right. Florence Nightingale is a woman, and there are so many great women. The chief executive of my hospital is a woman. She's a nurse. In fact, the 4 highest people you want to talk about in the hospital, there are women, there are nurses. But there was an incident that I forced one of them, in fact, that I forced my head of nursing to come and find me in the theater where I work, and they organized a private meeting with me to have a one-to-one discussion. So, well, I will ask that lady to go into research to find out for us what is really happening. But I don't think so. It doesn't appear to me like that. But I'm not saying that I have the reservoir of that knowledge, or I can dictate. No. So if that is our opinion, or if that is our perception, Well, I'm not saying she's wrong, but it's just that that's not what I share. I don't think it's like that. I think it's just down to every one of us making our effort, making our aspirations, and doing our best to make things happen for ourselves, gender irrespective. In some climes, in an environment where there are gender issues, that's very real, that's very genuine, and that must be factored in. And in a sense, if that person is listening to me, in a sense, I do have that conversation with some of my friends that, women go on maternity leave, and that shouldn't count against them, but it counts against clinical competencies. In countries where people go for maternity leave for 1 year, if you return back to practice, you can't tell me you've got the same level of skills with somebody who is there for a whole year. Now, and when we go higher, like Prof taught us, Prof said she got married and all of that, you have other family responsibility that choked up with some things. I have brilliant friends. In fact, there is a friend of mine who happened to be a very good writer. She might be on this platform, I don't know. Now, a very good writer while we were in the university, and she struggled a bit with her MSc. And each time we talk, I would say why, and the basic thing is care at home, looking after children. I also look after my children, but there are two ways we do it. So women are doing very fantastic job at home and all of that, and that may be a factor as well. So if that takes care of the question, but that lady should do a research and let us know what is really happening. It might be gender bias or gender discrimination. If that is what you are gunning for, it might be.
Thank you very much. I have a question for this. I would actually like to ask, since she's still alive, just quickly. So the question, I don't know if Prof actually hear me.
Hello.
Is Prof there? Hello, sir, I'm with you.
Okay. Okay, not for me. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, for Prof. I don't know. The question was advice for what does Prof mean by individual learning plan, and what is the advice for those who have interest in academia to go for it, and is it acceptable in nursing to prove studying PhD? That question for.
Sorry, the question was not that clear, but I heard something about individual learning plan. So.
Yes, ma.
Okay. Now, what do I mean by individual learning plan?
Yes, and what do you mean by individual learning plan? Yes.
Okay, for example, like today, the presentation, there are lots of, I don't know all the presentation, but I've listened to one other presentation by our colleague in Leicester. And, he has mentioned that certain things that you should do. Like I talked about mentors, for example, that you need mentors. When you are not clear about which way to go, you need to get advice. A mentor may be very useful for you. I've talked about mentorship. So individual learning plan, what you will now do is that you will now go back and have a reflection about your life. Do you have mentors? One of the questions you will be asked is, these days when we do trainings, when we do online, these virtual trainings, it comes with individual learning plan. So when they teach you anything like this mentorship, they will now ask you to have a plan. It's a written plan. So one of the questions they will ask you is that, do you have a mentor, for example? If your answer is no, then they will ask you, what is your plan? What areas do you think you need a mentor in your life? And then you list those areas. Then they will now ask you, what are the plans you are making to fill that gap? And then when do you think you will fill that gap? So that's individual learning plan. So you will now answer your response to all those questions is part of your individual learning plan. Maybe I can pick one other thing that I talked about, like I said, I talked about that you need self-directed learning. So you will now go back and look at your life, what you are doing, which are the areas where you need to improve. What are the gaps in your life? Our own Nigeria is different from being in the UK. In the UK, they will determine all the things, the gaps, what you need to learn if you're on a job. And I'm sure every now and again, you must be doing something. But Nigeria, you do MCPDP, and maybe that's all. Maybe you need to do one in a year or something to change for your registration. But individual, but for self-directed learning, what are the gaps in your life? Where can you get resources to fill those gaps? And I tell you these days, with the COVID-19, the virtual learning that is available is so massive. There's no gap that you have that you cannot find a way of filling. Like now, I told you I was doing a leadership and management course in University of Washington. We just came together as a group. It would have cost maybe one person $1,000, but coming together as a group in a site, we just paid 12,000, and for the next 11 weeks, we are still on that training. Then I saw another one on digital literacy. This one is entirely free from the Commonwealth. So, and I just registered for it. And, the way they do it, they will give you some podcasts, they will give you reading material, they give you some videos, then you'll be answering, you do a quiz and all of that. So for self-directed learning, you find out what are the gaps that I have. What are the resources that are available to fill this gap? And then when am I going to fill this gap? How am I going to fill this gap? That is individual learning plan. I cannot do that for you, for example. I can only just tell you, okay, you need to fill the gaps, in your life. But I can't do it for you. You are the one that will decide how you are going to do it and the resources you need. Maybe if you don't know what to do, you can find a mentor that will tell you, okay, this and this is available. Like for my department, whenever I come across all these resources, I just paste it on the platforms for them. So some of them will take advantage, some of them will not take advantage. That's it. I hope I've answered the question. And there's a question about PhD. I don't know what the person is asking about PhD.
Okay, the question goes, the question is, what is the advice for those that have interest in academia and to go for MPH, and is MPH acceptable enough to proceed to proceed in studying PhD? That's the question, man.
Okay, fine. Well, you see, whenever you are changing specialty, whenever you are, the rule in the university is that if you did the MPH and you now want to go into nursing, then they will not admit you for a straight PhD in nursing. They will admit you for what they call an MPhil. You do an MPhil, that means the MPhil is you audit all the courses in MSc, and then you must have an average of 60 marks, and then you do a proposal. Once your proposal ends 60 marks, then you now move on and do your PhD. So it will cost you a little more time. For example, I did MPH in Ibadan. I applied for PhD in Ife, PhD nursing in Ife, and I applied to Ibadan as well. Ife just said that they cannot even take me at all because that they don't recognize MPH, that is a terminal degree or whatever. So when you come across a problem like that, you don't stop because you know where you are going, you have your vision. you look for other options. What are the other options that you can use? So I now went to you, I said, I got MPH from you, now I cannot do PhD. What are you saying? They just told me, apply, we will give you admission, you will audit some master's courses, and then after that, if you're able to get 60 in both your research and the coursework, you proceed to PhD. And I did that. You know, you have to work very hard and be well focused. Then you move on, and then you can do the PhD in nursing. So usually if you are changing, if it was nursing I did before, it won't be a problem. But if you are changing from one specialty to the other, you know, there's a little, you just have to do something for them to cut you over into the new specialty you want to go. And that's part of what we are saying, that you have to learn how to persevere. If you don't know how to persevere, you will not be able to get to the top. I don't know if I've answered the person's question, but, you know, since we are talking about mentorship, you know, the person can have my details. We can talk one-on-one, so that maybe if there are other gray areas you want to talk about, we talk about it.
Wow.
So,
thank you so much, ma. There's still a question for you, ma.
Okay.
There is a question from Sade. She said, what are the criteria for choosing a career mentor apart from them being ahead of me career-wise? What are the criteria for choosing a career mentor apart from the mentor being ahead of the mentee career-wise?
Okay. Well, from the top of my head now, I will imagine that you will set your own criteria. What do you want from the mentor? What do you want from the mentor? For example, you know, I trained in UI. When I came to work in Unica, I don't know the terrain very well because I don't know, because I didn't train here. So I needed somebody that can give me some background information, beyond what things appear on the surface. So I look for somebody that is interested. The person must be enthusiastic about assisting people. That's one thing. The person must have the knowledge and the skills that you want or that you desire. So I had to choose somebody that, okay, she had those two qualities, and she a very friendly person, and she has the experience as well as my mentor, you know, to generally advise me about how to relate with issues that come up. I give you an example. Maybe the first time I'm asked to come and assess somebody for professorship. I've never done it before after I became a professor. So I needed somebody to talk to me about that one. You know, it's still part of mentoring. So I found somebody who has been a professor for some years, has been doing that, and then to tell me, okay, this is how you go about it. And if I have any difficulty, I can always revert to her. So your need will be very important. What you need, the gap you want the person to fill, and the person must be enthusiastic and want to mentor you. I've had people that have come and say, I would like you to be my mentor. And I looked at it, you know, in terms of time, in terms of what the person wants. And I've said, oh, I will not be able to meet up with it. So, and the person must be ready to agree. So you don't go to somebody to mentor you in an area that the person is not vast and the person is not experienced. For example, if you want to go to the UK, you know, like our last presenter will be able to probably guide you through the steps. So the person will be relevant. I hope I've answered the question.
Very well, ma. Yes, you have. And one more question. Someone actually requested for the website is learning online.
The website?
For the digital literacy learning online.
Okay, I'll just send it to the, what I'll do, I'll send it to the contact person, the person that has been contacting me, because it's not just digital literacy. There are several courses that they roll out from time to time, and it's free, and it's by Commonwealth. So I'll send it to her, then she can, maybe, I don't know whether they will put it on the chat or however they will get it to the, I don't know if you have a community of participants for this very summit, maybe like a WhatsApp. Then you can put it there. Okay, that's not a problem at all. I'll do that immediately after now.
All right, thank you, ma. Thank you. So we actually have a question from YouTube, from our channel on YouTube for the last presenter. And he's asking about how can we deal with selfish hospital managers who keep limiting nurses from performing some videos that will give the nurses greater opportunities. Mr. Solomon is asking us, how can we deal with selfish hospital managers who keep limiting nurses from performing certain procedures that will give the nurses a greater opportunity?
All right.
Yes,
you see, one of the theories of management which can be applied here is about what is called the wicked problem. There are problems that are called wicked problem, or they call it the unknowables. All right. That sometimes is something that is not known to you, and you cannot accept that. You cannot stay and say, oh, I can change everything. You cannot. No man, no individual can do that. So sometimes you do your best. We say it simply by saying do your best and do what? And leave the rest. Sometimes you just have to transition. You see, the person said that is limiting, it's not allowing you to progress. So what's the essence of wasting your opportunity in a place where you are not counted relevant or somewhere? So if somebody doesn't want you, I mentioned it, I say if you try somewhere, you fail. The best answer is just you go on, carry on, try something else, try somewhere else. You might try different mix of skills and effort to convince the individual or the person or the authority to intervene, to do what is relevant. But if it's not working, you might have to leave. For instance, I just told you that I'm in theater and all of that. Well, I still work in ITU as well, and I have the opportunity to transition with some things. I have some opportunity to transition from theater into ITU, despite my relevance in transplant and all of that. So because of my career interest, because of some career interests and some issues, I just say, okay, let me see what's happening in ITU. Those are the things. If you think, well, I know we're talking about sane climb, but there are insane climb. Because if somebody is proving difficult, one of the things is that you can report the person to the HR. Where there are policies and all, but I know there are areas where there are so many abnormalities. I'll just say that if abnormalities is looking like something you cannot change or overcome, you may as well just abandon it and go to somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Quickly, there's a question for
thank you, Prof.
Actually, yes. There's a question for Prof from YouTube, from our channel on YouTube. The person is asking that I'm quoting the person verbatim now. The person said, I want to ask a question, ma. I love working as a bedside nurse. So, ma, is it compulsory that I must have PhD in nursing, even though I'm not going through academic orientation? I don't know if you get it, but let me repeat myself. He said, I love working as a bedside nurse. So is it compulsory that I must have my PhD in nursing, even though I'm not going through academic orientation? That's the question.
Oh, me, when I was doing my presentation, I've said that whatever area you are practicing in, whether it's bedside, whether it's academia, whether it's community, wherever, just aim to be the best in it. That's all. Just aim for excellence. It is, well, you know, we don't have, in this country, we don't have the Doctor of Nursing program. You know, in the US, for example, they have Doctor of Nursing program where those who are still carrying out clinical services, they aspire, they get a doctorate in that area. And, you know, they have some more privileges than the what the RN has. For example, they can prescribe, they can admit patients, they can have their own practice, you know, all of that. But for us in Nigeria, the PhDs we have, they are basically academic. They are basically academic, and they are not clinically oriented. So your choice, it will be your choice if you want to have a PhD and still be at the bedside. But I don't know if you are going to be remunerated for it, because our last presenter was talking about the financial, the gains. Why do you want to get the PhD? So you must be looking at, okay, where will it take me to? You have to weigh all of that. Is there any advantage in getting a PhD? I know that we have some of our nurses that have masters in nursing. They are still working at the bedside, and they are taking, they do the researches at the bedside, but they are not remunerated for what they have. I mean, for that particular degree. But if there's a competition, like I know those of them who have retired, those who have additional qualifications like MSc nursing and so on, they retain them to work in the School of Nursing. But you see, there may be no advantage of that today, but you see, we don't know what will happen tomorrow, because I know that when I did BSc nursing and they were making fun and so on, it was not even obvious that we are going to have other departments of nursing. At that time, we only had UI and probably IFE. Those were the only two. But look at what is happening today, that we have 27 departments of nursing, and they are looking for manpower like no man's business. Who can tell? After a while, you may want to transit from clinical to even the academia. So nothing is really wasted. If you have the opportunity, if I were you, I would take it, because you can never tell how it will become useful tomorrow. So if you, and then you must not be, your vision should not be narrow, just looking at the immediate, what is happening now. You don't know what will happen in 10 years. You know, in fact, when I wanted to do the PhD in nursing, from my family, I was told, why don't you just do education? You know, it's easier because you have it here in Calabar. I just told myself, I said, if I do education today, what will happen in 5 years' time? What will happen in 10 years' time? Maybe it will not be acceptable any longer. You know, at that time it was acceptable. You could do all these other fields and then still come to nursing. But look at now, people are looking for people that are specialists in their own area. So you have to be proactive. You have to think ahead of time. And but I admire those who work at the bedside. In fact, I love working at the bedside. It's very, very rewarding. I love, in fact, if you put both of them side by side, and I'm in a situation, I may go for the bedside. Why? Because, you know, that's the ultimate of our practice. That is where you are judged for all the grammar and all the this thing that you have, your impact on humanity. So, but everybody have their own privilege and opportunity. We have now been called to prepare those ones that will be giving those services. So I still feel part of whatever they are doing. So I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, you have, ma. Thank you very much, ma. So we have another question for Maladi, last presenter. Sir, there's a question for you, and the person is asking about private practice. And the person says that, does it mean we can have our own clinic as a nurse? And how do we go about it? The person is asking about private practice, and the person is saying, as a nurse, does it mean that you can actually have your own clinic? And how will you go about it?
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. Prof did a very great justice to the question that was first asked. And you see, the way she's talking is talking to us because we are young and we've got a lot of years ahead of us and we don't know what will happen. The opportunity that in their time they did not have, like she keep mentioning, if somebody tells you that there are few universities, she was actually saying that there are limited knowledge, even of the concept of nursing and what nursing is all about as at that time. Now, I told you, and I mentioned it, that I'm doing a PhD and I'm a clinical nurse. Now, and I'm competent in anesthesia. While I was in Nigeria, I give anesthesia independently. I know some of my colleagues are online here, if they are listening, they will be laughing wherever. So are you suggesting that if I have PhD in nursing, because my PhD is in nursing and midwifery, and I'm clinically competent as a nurse anesthetist, I cannot do both roles? I can. You can actually do both roles, but the time is rapidly changing. It's a matter, how many nurse anesthetists do they have? How many private hospitals, how many public hospitals in Nigeria have anesthetists who administer anesthesia? That is what we are saying. How many of them have perioperative nurses? How many of them have advanced nurse clinicians who are able to do things that are expected to do in the best way? That's what we're saying. Gaining that competencies at the bedside and having that theoretical knowledge where you can actually impact it through research and every other means to other people. That's where the world is going. That's what is happening everywhere. And that is where we are heading to as well. Now, asking the question about private practice, you see, private practice is okay. Having private clinic is okay, but it shouldn't be born out of greed. If it's born out of greed, you will kill people and think you are operating a private practice, and the blood will be on your hand and on your neck. But we must not also scare people from doing what is right. We must not scare ourselves and say, well, because one thing or the other can happen. So I will say that before you can do any other thing, one thing you will first think about is that look at the law of the land. If anybody is asking about starting up a private practice, you have to look at what are the legal requirements for me as a nurse to start a private practice. Am I able to meet up with that? Now, if you are able to move up with that, then all you will need to do are all technical issues of what would I be doing and what will be happening there. So outside that, you may not be able to do a lot. I didn't have a private hospital while I was in Nigeria. All I do is that I used to go to private hospital when I'm invited to come and administer anesthesia. That is it. I administer my anesthesia, we get paid for it, and that is it. So it's all about, are you competent? You know what you're doing, not because of the greed for the financial reward. But if you are clinically competent, the money will surely come. And that's what Prof we call success and excellence in our words.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, distinguished sir. Thank you so much, distinguished. Thank you, everyone, all the participants, our distinguished speaker, Prof. Olaide Edet. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for the love for young nurses and to share the knowledge, your experiences in nursing. Mr. Ojoayo Omolade, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate. Professor Ajibade, represented by Mrs. Olajide, we thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, all the participants today, all the team, the editorial team, the moderators, and everybody, really appreciate and thank you all. So I want to remind us, I believe that all participants are on our pages, WhatsApp pages, and possibly also receiving the emails. They have the calendar of the event. We are starting tomorrow, Friday, by tomorrow Friday tomorrow Thursday by 9:50 a.m. And we have our speakers ready to shoot and give us good content and informative knowledge by tomorrow. So also I want to remind us, and very, very importantly, a book on this summit will be published after the summit. It will have all your questions, the answers to your questions, some questions that are not answered. Please make sure you contact a contact will be sent via the chat box. Please order for your copy, check for the contact of the person, message the person via WhatsApp, and order for your copy as soon as possible. It is very, very important. So thank you so much. So tomorrow, see you. We are having 2 sessions tomorrow, the morning session and the evening session. The morning session starts by 9:45. So tomorrow, see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Edet. Thank you, Mr. Amulade. Thank you, Prof. Ajibade. Thank you to all participants. Have a restful night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.